Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to solve exercise 1A question number 14 of book 2. The question number 14 is about the amount of voltage V watts needed to send a fixed amount of current through a wire is directly proportional to its resistance R when R equals to 6 and V is equals to 9. So we have to do the same steps that we have done in the previous questions 12 and 13, but the thing is that the values are changed only, but we have to follow the same steps. Okay, so this question has 4 parts. First part is find an equation connecting V and R. Second part is find a value of V when R is 15. Then in part 3, calculate the value of R when V is 15. Then draw a graph of V against R. So let's start the solving the question without wasting any time. So now let's start with first part of this question, which is find an equation of connecting V and R. So since V is directly proportional to R, we are having two values. One is for V, which is 9. For R, we are having another value which is 6. So first of all, as usual, we have to create an equation which we are going to follow, and then we are going to follow this equation to the next parts to solve those. So to find the equation, where we are having an equation that is V equals to K R. So K is constant. Now we are going to put on these values of the equation that we have created, because V and R are directly proportional. Now we have made it K the constant, so we have to find the value of K to complete our equation. So let's put on the values. V is 9. We need to find K, and R is 6. So if we shift 9 over here, so it would become K equals to 9 divided by 6. After calculation, we are getting an answer 1.5. This is the value for K, and our final equation would be V equals to 1.5 R. This is our final equation, V equals to 1.5 R, and we are going to use this equation to solve the rest of the remaining parts. So let's move towards part 2. Now let's start solving part 2. So part 2 is find the value of V when R is 15. So what was our equation? That was V equals to 1.5, which is K and R. This is the main equation which we are going to solve, from which we are going to solve this part. Okay, so the part says that R is 15. So it's very easy. V equals to 1.5 and R is 15. So we are simply going to multiply these two values and find the value of V. And it is, to find V, 1.5 multiplied by 15. V equals to 22.5. This is the answer for part 2. Now, following the same equation, we are going to solve part 3 of this question. And the equation, our main equation, V equals to 1.5 R. Now the part 3 says calculate the value of r when v is 15. So it's also very easy. So v is now 15, k is 1.5, and we need to find r. So we are going to shift 15 over here. It would first it was multiplying, now it would be dividing. So r equals to 15 divided by 1.5. Just we can divide it in the calculator and we will get a value that is 10. Value for r is 10. This is the answer to part 3. Now let's move towards the last part, which is part 4, about plotting the graph. Now let's solve the last part of this question, which is part 4. It says draw a graph of v against r. So we have to plot in graph. So for that we need to find coordinates. So we are going to use the same formula. V equals to 1.5 r. So we are going to estimate some of the values and then solve this question. So I have first when r is equals to 0. Okay. So v equals to 1.5 multiplied by 0. And the value of v would be 0. So I said that r is 0. So what would be v? V is 0 because 1.5 multiplied by 0 is 0. So when r equals to 0, v equals to 0. This is our first coordinate for this question. Now for the last, at least we should plot 2 points in the graph. So let's estimate another number with using the same formula. V equals to 1.5 r. So I have estimated another number when r equals to 2. So let's solve it again. 1.5, v equals to 1.5 and 2. Both numbers are going to be multiplied and we are going to get a value of 3. So the last coordinate for this graph is when r is 2. So v is 3. So we have found our maximum coordinates. When r equals to 0, v equals to 0. And when r equals to 2, v equals to 3. So let's plot this graph of v against r. So now let's start plotting the graph for the last part of this question. So I have taken a pencil, a scale and a graph paper for this to plot the graph. Let me first write the coordinates that we have to plot. So our coordinates were r equals to 0. So v would be 0. When r is 2, v would be 3. These are the coordinates for this graph. So now let's plot the graph. So let's plot the graph. Now I'm going to draw the graph. We are having less range of numbers, so we are going to make a short graph for this. So this point is 0, 1, and as we are having less numbers, so we are going to have a big gap in two big squares gap. Now this is 1, and then 2 and 3. So this line is for V and this line is for R. So the coordinates, the first coordinate is 0 over here. It's going to start from here. And then R is 2 and V is 3. So V is 3 and 2. So I have plotted the coordinate over here. And I'm going to draw a line over here. The graph has been plotted. Let me just label the graph. This is 0, 0, and this is 2 and 3. And we have to make sure to write the equation for which we have plotted the graph. So the equation is V equals to 1.5 R. This is the main equation for we have plotted the graph. So I hope you like today's video. If you like today's video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can get my upcoming videos. Okay, thank you and Allah Hafiz.